There we go.
Eyes on the camera. Welcome back, everybody. This is SHARC Doc Talk with Doc T, Dr. Dionson, Dr. J. We switched sides on you to mess with you a little bit. We're going to follow up on part 3. We've been talking about youth athletics. We dove into injuries, a couple case studies before in the first couple podcasts. Now we're chiming in with recovery and nutrition. And want to dive into this a little bit, kind of get some basics out of the way, some understanding, and cover some questions you might have, or these guys might have, and some things I've run into with nutrition with kids. Now, we say youth athletics, but remember, they're still kids, still children, still growing, still developing. So when I talk about this, kind of keep in mind, we're not just talking about nutrition for a human, we're also talking about a growing child playing a sport that exceeds 3,000 calories a day burning off their body, not to mention they're just wound up anyway, and they're in school all day. So all of these things are what I like to use the word consideration. Like, consider these things when you're planning things out for the children. So we're going to dive into the nitty gritty. When it comes to nutrition, you have your protein, your carbohydrates, and your fats. How you balance those out is kind of indicative of what you're doing with your day-to-day. So if you're not very active, you're kind of sedentary, then your carbohydrates can be a little lower, your protein come down, fat can come down, things like that. So when we get into youth, we have to think the building blocks for muscle, what they're going to grow with is protein. Carbohydrates can be replenished in the muscle groups, and then fats are used to build cholesterol and hence hormones and so on. So when you have all these 3 macronutrients, they call them, you have to find a good balance, and every kid, child, person is going to be a little bit different on how they'll work, but you have to find that. Most kids that I see, when they come in 13 to 16 years of age, they're very deficient in protein, generally way too many carbs and way too much fat. What I mean by that is mac and cheese, noodles with sauces on it, things of that nature where the carb intake is really high, 100, 150 grams of serving, fat intake's really high, protein intake a little lower. And the problem is basically if you combine a carbohydrate with a fat, it's a donut. That's essentially what you're going to be eating, right?
Great.
It is amazing. I'd take a Krispy Kreme, though, over butter on my noodles, if it were me. Or a Pop-Tart. We love Pop-Tarts, but I don't know what's in a Pop-Tart anymore these days. Life has changed. Anyway, so when you get to the kids, the hardest thing to feed them is something like a protein. So your chicken or your beef or your fish, eggs, things of that nature, because they do come with a very bland flavor. So you have to find creative ways to make that taste a little better.
Yeah. So
I'm going to start at the beginning. Protein for your typical youth athletes are going to range somewhere between 80 and 150 grams a day. This will be someone who's about 5'3" to 5'9", 130 to 155 pounds, 60 pounds, somewhere in there. Sports across the board, you're pretty much going to be okay. It's a good starting point. The reason I say starting point is in a child athlete or youth athlete, as they're growing and developing in their sport, you should be able to visually see their body change. In other words, getting stronger. Their recovery should be pretty good. Like they wake up feeling good, feeling refreshed, no muscle soreness, achiness, things of that nature. Unless it's, hell week and you're just diving in 2-a-days and stuff like that, which is another conversation. Carbohydrates, anywhere from your 75 to 150 grams a day. Typically like to bury those around the workout themselves. So if they have a 3:30 practice in the afternoon, you want something beforehand, a banana, apple, fruit, something like that. Afterwards, your sweet potato, white rice, something along those lines. Now, sidebar. For those out there that think that brown rice is superior to white rice, we got to change that thinking real fast. And the simple reason is brown rice, that grain version of it all, it literally is born with a magic shell around it that doesn't allow you to digest it properly. But more importantly, for a child, it irritates the hell out of their gut. And once you irritate the gut, it's all downhill after that. The reason white rice is a little superior, definitely my opinion, but there's a few papers out there you can go check out. ChatGPT. Love ChatGPT. Shout out. I want to get sponsored by ChatGPT. That'd be awesome. Anyway, but you can go look at it. But white rice has a simpler burn. In other words, after practice, 2 hours in, whatever, you pound that with some chicken, steak, ground turkey, whatever. The body can digest it quickly, restore the stores that you're missing in the liver and the muscles themselves quickly. So that allows them to reestablish a baseline of glycogen fill. So they're good. Protein is just about for also. When you have those carbohydrates after workout, opens up the cell, protein comes in, utilize. So those are kind of the processes that go on with that, why it's so important. Don't recommend fat after a workout because it slows that process down. Fat's kind of a blunting effect. So, yeah. So anyway, so back to the protein, you got the carbs, you got the fat intake is going to be somewhere. Now, in children, I have a 12-year-old who's still got what I call baby fat on him. So he's still got baby fat. He still hasn't hit puberty yet to grow. So for him, his fat intake can be a little lower or normalized. My older son is skinny, ripped, six-pack kid, 6'2". His fat intakes can go through the roof. My daughter, same thing. Men and women are different here. Mm-hmm. Men don't have the hormonal concern that women have to such a degree.
Yeah.
So fat is still important for them, but with women, the processes they're going to use that for is going to be a little different too. So those are all considerations, things just to keep in mind while you're working through. So let's fast forward this to real life. I have a patient right now, 13-year-old daughter, Celsius, that is a water polo player. So she's 13, going on 14, already developing, hitting puberty. So her food intake, because of the nature of swimming is very 2.5 hours, has got to be pretty good, both in the morning at breakfast, throughout the day, pre-practice and after practice, and then before bed. Yeah. So the joke with most swimmers and water polo players, they have 2 dinners, one before, one after. Just the way that works. So, not to get lost here. So those are the basic, what's the word I'm looking for? Parameters. Good word too. Parameters on how you start the nutrition process. So if you got a 13-year-old swimmer, she's got 2.5 hour practice at the end of the day, after being in school all day, the breakfast is important. Lunch is key. Protein at lunch. Lunch is hard because it's hard to stick it in a bag and carry it to school and reheat it.
Yeah, especially high quality food.
Yeah, something that you can do. Unfortunately, you're stuck in something like a turkey sandwich, tuna sandwich. Kids can be finicky, so you have to play with that and see how the kid likes it and test the waters. Weekends are great for that. So I feel like I'm all over the place. Give me some direction. Give me a for instance.
Yeah, you covered all the basis of like what's the macronutrient, like the goals to hit with everything. I think one thing that we often forget about, especially in children, because we're just thinking they're growing and they need food, which is generally true, is that the sport sometimes requires you to modify the diet a little bit. So when you have someone that is more in the like the power world, like a shot put type of person,
shot put football,
versus someone that's in like a long distance things, their diet might be a little bit different here.
So those are fun. That's a great, thank you for that. That's why you guys are around, man. That's why you guys are around. Just helped me so much. So what that is, there's 2 sides to that coin. First is a power athlete, typically it's big spurts of energy with good time resting. Yeah. Endurance athletes are more just kind of a consistent go. Mm-hmm. Their nutrition is kind of interesting. It fluctuates. Mm-hmm. The one thing you get with endurance athlete that's overkill is too many carbohydrates. Yeah. Your body can only store so much at a given time before the rest of it is either stored as fat or you just excrete it out the body. Protein, it's more like the amount that you take and the timing of it. So you can have 200 grams of protein a day, but you have to break that down to, let's say, 30 to 50 grams, depending on your body type, that you can utilize that. The rest of it, you're just going to excrete out. So those are things, and this is going to be the hardest part for parents. You find the baseline, and then you have to tinker. Now, I recommend we do this with our children. We have 14, 12, and 10. They understand they need to eat XYZ. They've learned, because we've kind of instilled it in them, how they feel when they eat XYZ or ABC or however their diet goes. So they've figured out now at swim meets and so forth what they consume, when they consume, and how they perform. So once you connect the dots for them, parents, I promise you, your life way easier. All you have to do is actually have the food there, and then they can figure out the rest of it. You're going to guide them a little bit. Make sure you keep an eye on them because, they tend to go for the peanut butter sandwiches over the turkey sandwiches, I've noticed. Little buggers. Yeah, peanut butter sandwiches are good. I'm sorry, just is. Okay, so to what he's saying now, if you have different events like a football game, you're fasting for 3 to 4 hours, maybe 5. So you're not eating an hour, hour and a half before. You're not getting the game for 3 hours. After the game, 45 minutes, an hour. It can be a while. Yeah. So you have to have a pretty good nutrition plan protocol in place, meaning you're eating really well prior to. I like good fat diets there. So I like steak over chicken. I like fish over turkey, only because there's good fats in that. Allows your body time to burn that off. And then if you're talking about endurance athlete who's got a 5K 14-minute race, completely different like energy output. Yeah. So energy systems are the thing that kind of where nutrition guides you. Mm-hmm. High energy systems require nutrients to be replenished quicker. Lower ones are different. Yeah. So going out for a jog for 3 miles, you're not really burning a ton. You can replenish that pretty easily. Yeah. Sprinting for an hour and a half, you're burning everything. Replenish. Yeah. So I know out there, I know you guys out there watching this are going to be like, okay, that's a lot. What do we do with this whole thing? The bottom line is you want to start off with a breakfast that's pretty simple. I know it's funny and all, but traditional eggs, bacon, and if you can find some version of clean toast or just fruit. Like you really can't go wrong. Mangoes, bananas, pineapple, you can't go wrong. So try your best to find a fruit they can handle. It's an easy way to start the day for them. The fat from eggs or bacon or things like that is simply going to give them some energy sources to burn for the next 3 to 4 hours while they're in school using their brain. Fat is wonderful for the brain. The brain loves that stuff. That energy system there is great. Sugar, not so much. So you give them a snack. That's trivial, wrong word. That depends on the school they're at and how the snack or the breaks work. Mm-hmm. I love nuts for a snack. Big fan of that. Beef jerky is a simple one. This is funny. Peanut butter sandwich, not a bad one. Then you get to lunch. Lunch, you're looking at protein, basic carbs. Kind of looks like breakfast, maybe a little less fat. More fat depends on their afternoon. So if they're going to have a practice afternoon, 2.5 hours, avocado, if you can get them to eat it, avocado toast with turkey. Be imaginative. If you have questions, definitely reach out to us. But that's kind of what you're looking at is you want the good protein, which is your basic meats, fish, things of that nature. You have things like a protein powder here. I do have kids that'll take that in a shaker in their backpack. They'll have that in the afternoon before practice with a banana. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Burns quick, gets in the system quick, it provides them the energy they need real quick, off for their practice. And then from there, after practice, they're going to want something pretty soon after that too. Too many times I'll have parents come in and I'll ask the kid, what'd you have after practice? Like, they came to my office at 4:30 or 5 o'clock for a visit, a treatment, and they just got out of practice. They haven't eaten yet.
Yeah.
When's the last time you ate? Lunch. What's 5 o'clock at night? So fasting that long as a child goes 5 hours, that's bad. So you want to make sure you have something post-practice before they get home for dinner too. That was a lot. That was a lot really fast.
It's a lot of good information though.
Yeah.
Because like even as an adult, I know if I don't eat correctly before I go work out, it is the worst workout that I'll ever have in my entire life.
100%.
Or even working as doctors, if I don't eat right beforehand, I can't think straight at all.
Makes
so
right.
even for a kid, when we start talking about that, they still have to be a student. That's their part. That's a part of their life. So not only do they have to be an athlete, but they also have to get good grades, or at least general good grades, right?
Not fail out of school.
Not fail out of school.
We definitely want to maintain
that's
school.
That's basically what we're trying to aim for here. So with that being said, what often you'll see, especially when they are not well fed, grades tend to go down a little bit, and also just athletic performance will go down too. So that's one of your big markers as parents. Check that as well.
100%. And I can't tell you much. I mean, 20 years of kids coming in, you'll hear a lot of this ADHD and ADD and things like that. Nutrition has a lot to do with that. Okay. Like, I'm a hyper guy just naturally, even without a Celsius in my stomach. I'm just kind of a wiry guy to begin with. So when you're looking at a child athlete and they're trying to process their day, which is up at 6:30 or 7, get ready for school, go to school, say they're, straight A's or A/B students, doing homework, whatever, they're getting into class, then they go to practice and they want to perform highly there. That day is a very stressful day. Mm-hmm. Like, my kids leave at 7:30 in the morning, they get home at 8:30 at night.
After all
the practice, everything done, I'm like, I'm exhausted. I didn't do anything.
And they still have to do homework too.
Yeah, hopefully got it done by then, but
yeah.
You hear me, boys out there? Boys are the worst. Anyway, so there is that multifaceted comprehension of their day that we can't just discount it because they're children, right? And the food, I can't begin to tell you how important it is. Yeah, the quality of the food is really important, but the fact they get food is also good. Yeah. Meaning that ideally, chicken, rice, broccoli, that'd be great for lunch, but probably not realistic in most settings. So if they have a protein shake, a little beef jerky, and an avocado or some nuts, fine. I'm totally fine with that. The calories in are good for them. If they're not getting the calories they need throughout the day, like Dr. D said, it's going to be this little slow dive of energy, cognitive function in their brains, and how they perform in the field in practice. So, Justin.
Yeah, I mean, as far as you touched a little bit on like nutrient timing, and like if I was an athlete and I'm coming through high school, and like I wanted to start like really putting on weight, like what would be your recommendation for me, other than just eat so much? Because that's all I was told when I was coming up.
It's dangerous.
That's a question.
Yeah.
So I get this question a lot. A lot of kids who come in, I want to put on weight, need to put on weight, what have you. The bottom line is calories. Now, there is good calories versus bad calories, 110%. That being said, it depends on your body type. And this is where we get tricky. So someone like a Dr. J is at a different body type than I do, or excuse me, Dr. Davidson. Dionson does. Davidson. I'm combining them now. I'm not even wasting time. Anyway, so we all have different body styles and body weight or body structure. So if you're a hard gainer and you're an easy gainer and I'm a middle guy, the diet's going to be completely different. And then there's always genetics. Genetics, unfortunately, dictate that success. So to answer your question, food, you have to eat more. There's just no way around it. But you're still toying with performance. So if you're in, let's say you're a safety on the football team or a DB, right, defensive back.
Yeah.
You want to put on muscle. Well, if you're just eating a bunch of food, not necessarily good stuff, if your timing's all over the board, or you're binge eating, meaning eat a lot in the morning, nothing through the day, eat a lot at night, you're going to end up putting on the bad kind of body weight. And that's going to slow you down in the field, so that messes with you, right? So that becomes more about timing. So getting it throughout the day. 5-6 small meals, heavy on the protein, carbohydrates high, but keep them clean. And fruit, in my opinion, not the best alternative. I'm a sweet potato white rice guy when it comes to that question. If you're looking to sustain like where you are and slowly gain a pound here every few months of muscle, fruit's fine. Mm-hmm. Fruit's fine. But it really does come down to, I mean, you're a powerlifting world, so I'll let you chime in. But honestly, calories.
Yeah.
If you're like me, an average build guy, so I don't put it on easily or take it off easily, I have to eat 4,000 calories a day to try to put on a few pounds of muscle. Mm-hmm. If it's someone like yourself who may not be a hard gainer, you might be 4,500, 5,000 because your body's, you need so much of it, it has no choice but to do something with it. But then your training has to match. Mm-hmm. So I can tell the story. I love the story. I have a lot of fun stories. I've been saying it a lot. I apologize, but yeah, it's good stories.
You live life.
Right? Yeah. I'm not that old. That's mean, dude. Davidson. Anyway, so we had a high school soccer player. She was a junior. She's a muscular build. So kind of a medium, doesn't put on weight easily, doesn't take it off easily. She wanted to have an aesthetic look to her. Now, I'm not even joking. This is a very funny conversation. While maintaining her performance, she's a junior looking at a scholarship to UCLA or something like that for soccer. So very talented soccer player, but the aesthetics were bugging her. She wanted to look leaner. And anybody out there knows soccer players, they generally have good, strong legs. Just part of the game, right? So I built a diet around her that would allow her to maintain her aesthetics, simultaneously keep her performance up. That was the hardest thing I've ever done.
Balancing act.
And when she came in to check in on her, I think it was 3 or 4 months after we started this process, she came in, she looked the exact same. I said, how are you doing? She said, so far, so good. But mind you, her diet I had written down to like 30-minute windows. So there was hydration protocols, there was electrolyte protocols, there was protein, carb, fat protocols, there was the timing around her practices, around tournaments. So tournaments, you can go all day. Might play, 3 times in that day. So we had to manufacture almost a daily schedule of our food. Now, that part sounds challenging, and it is, but not near as challenging as actually doing it. Mm-hmm. So she had to go out and doing the work, just like we would a patient here going home with rehab. And she did it. Like, I was shocked. I've never met a 16-year-old put that kind of work in to do that. It was astounding. But that's how complicated it is, but it's also up to the athlete. Yeah. And if you're not dedicated to that, as an athlete goes, it just gets trickier. Mm-hmm. So I'm talking about high-level performing high school athletes, and also just like my older son, I love you to death, Quinn. He's a good swimmer. He's good build, but he doesn't, always want to give it everything he's got. And so, okay, that's fine. But we're going to be realistic with that goal. Yeah. So with your student athletes, youth athletes, you got to make sure that your guys' goals are lined up too. Mm-hmm. So they may say they want X, Y, Z, but in their hearts, you don't really see that. Yeah. And that's the kind of thing you got to pay attention to too. It goes back to, because we're talking about youth athletics, not just nutrition, mm-hmm. but this is kind of honed in on nutrition this time. Mm-hmm. But if you see them not putting in the work, not getting a protein shake in, not, getting the protein at night, not eating the food they need, not getting their macros in, they might be telling you something. Yeah. Because that helps bring down their performance, which then helps them not play as much, which then kind of buys them the time. Mm-hmm. So these are all considerations again.
For sure.
It's a mouthful.
Yeah. Definitely. Like so when I had a trainer in high school, I was told I think it came from like an old bodybuilder trick where you would go protein shake, but you would also have like gummy bears with it. Yeah. I think that was the carb. Yeah.
The carb opens the cell. Yeah.
Mm-hmm, yep. Yeah. And you mentioned that earlier where the carbs help drive the amino acids into the.
Now gummy bears are not what we recommend.
Right.
Okay. Just saying. However, yeah. Again, it's
or I've also heard Coke, like a Coca-Cola.
Oh, I was like, oh my gosh, that's kind of just went south. It's like, sorry, parents, sorry about that.
Yeah, that too. It's a great pre-workout.
Coke. Gosh. So
there's enough sugar in that technically.
Not sure where this just went. Yeah. So basically, anytime you have a sugar after a workout, the whole goal is to make the cells open, viable for bringing in the other stuff, right? You have to be careful with what you do because of the quality. That being, because bodybuilders are known to have a Coke afterwards or some type of sugary thing. Because if you want to know how to put on muscle, ask a bodybuilder. Yeah. I know how to do it. I can technically teach you, show you, give you a menu and all that. But those guys, because I said everybody's different, like every body is different. So what works for Justin may not work for me, may not work for him, or works for him, and who knows. So a lot of this is trial and error, which I know makes that a little bit trickier for everybody out there. But yeah, your sugar intake after workout event, whatever, and then follow up with protein, and then usually 30 minutes later you do a macro, all 3 protein, carb, and fat. That's typical. And that's kind of a healthy pathway to go.
Yeah.
Yeah, healthy pathway.
Yeah, I've definitely done the gummy bear before I work out.
They're good.
Yeah, they're easy to pack, and I understand it as, just for packing, even for parents. Like, hey, go eat something right beforehand. And if push comes to shove, I get it, right?
Yep, 100%.
And I'll double down on this. We're talking about numbers. We're talking about, like, main specifics of food, like have chicken or have a steak or whatever, right? If the kid doesn't be a kid for a little bit here, sometimes we'll run into some problems as well. Although this is a nutrition talk, if they want a pizza and there's no game the next day, let them have a pizza or whatever.
Okay.
Yeah.
My kids after swim meet, every swim meet, it's either In-N-Out Burger or pizza. I promise you, they've burned off 10,000 calories.
Yeah.
They'll be fine. Dean Carnassius, I'm saying his name wrong. Dean, if you'll never see this, but if you do out there, I really do apologize. But Dean Carnassius, he was known, he does a paleo-style diet, good calorie intake, white rice, sweet potato, that kind of thing, endurance runner, 100-miler.
Yeah.
I think he's done something crazy, like 10 marathons in a row or something. He's just a crazy runner, right? Trains great with his family, does tire pulls up hills with the kids in the tire, that kind of cool stuff, right? But has been known to order a large pizza while doing the 100 miles. Because believe it or not, at some point your body doesn't care if it's a gummy bear, a banana, or a sweet potato. It just needs the calories. That's it. And you're not going to be the one-offs, the one-time thing,
it's not
like they have in In-N-Out Burger. They're fine. Yeah. It's when you do it every day that's bad. You're starting to clog the system, right? So yeah, to your point. And being a kid, having fun, and we celebrate it. I mean, they get a shake if they did extra well, tried hard, or did their best, whatever. So absolutely. But this is kind of like that bleeds back into their children. Let them be children. Yeah. Not many pro sports are knocking on your door when you're 14.
No.
Hopefully not. That'd be weird. That'd be crazy.
Olympics.
That'd be crazy.
Olympics, but like
Olympics. Yeah.
Even then, like you still have you need your childhood, right? Some of our best memories are from playing childhood sports.
Oh God,
like, yes, we could get really detailed about all the food, and we should, but. If there's a pizza party because they just finished the season, let them have the pizza, dude.
And a Coke.
And a Coke.
Play video games. Get a cookie. Whatever. Yeah. So those are the pieces. Thanks for bringing the levity to it. Those are the pieces that are more the periphery. So you want to allow them that time. Plus, it's a good way to say, hey, we see you busting your butt and working your butt off out there. Yeah. By all means. Yeah. By all means. Don't do it the day before an event, please.
Don't.
I've firsthand seen that. It's not good.
I've firsthand done that myself. So there was this one time. If you hear this, don't ever follow this. We were just dumb.
Not advice.
We were dumb high schoolers before a basketball tournament, and one of my friends, we went to a gas station because they were stopping to get gas for the car van, the van.
It's typically what you do at a gas station.
Yeah. So we're grabbing a couple snacks.
Sorry, I had to.
Yeah, you're fair. I think I grabbed like a pack of like gummy bears or whatever. I didn't realize I just wanted something sweet, hence the carb, which technically is smart in some way. But my friend grabbed a bag of hot Cheetos. Yeah.
Oh no.
Because we're high schoolers.
Like where this is going.
No, this was dumb, and we also like wore whites.
Oh
too.
no.
So I remember straight up right before our game, we're just hanging out, being dumb high schoolers, and there's snacks going around, so we're just eating everyone's snacks that we've like grabbed for everyone. I take like a handful of hot Cheetos because we're just talking, chopping it up, and also my friend is just killing the bag as well. We get put into the game. Well, I'm starting this game, and I'm like, my stomach hurts. What is going on? So the other guy gets subbed in, right? I didn't have a whole lot. I just had like a handful as compared to him. He had a whole bag. He played a whole game, but he looked like death the entire time. Every time we called the timeout, it looked like he was about to throw up. Hence why we're also having this talk. Like, we don't want you to do stuff like that.
God, no.
To fill in calories, because technically that's a high-calorie meal.
Okay, here's the fun part. This goes into timing.
Yep.
The best part of timing. Your pre-workout meal. So let's say I got a marathoner or a cross-country kid or something like that. You have had to have practiced your meal intake prior to the event.
Yes.
Don't pound. I didn't have breakfast. Give me the Cheetos. And now I'm going to go play while I'm finishing off the Cheetos off my fingers.
Yep.
That's a bad idea. So when it comes to, and every sport's a little different. We'll have swim meets that start early. Kids got to be there at 7 o'clock for warm-up swim. I have to get them up 5:30 in the morning.
Yeah,
and we have gone through a flurry of, I guess, food that they can eat before getting in the pool to practice. They have an hour of practice swim before they can get to the meet part, right? So that's something that you have to have trialed and aired during the season, during the week of practice. So yes, pre-game and pre-practice snacks, you've
Cheetos.
got to be, God help you, you have to be conscientious of that. I mean, not just in the overall health of your child, of course, because the crap that's in there is not good, but also just in their performance. Yeah, I mean, it's not to harp on, you got to perform the best. It's more like, give them the opportunity that if they feel like it, they will. Versus I'm trying, but I can't. Yeah, that's what your buddy
Yeah.
sounds like.
He was sluggish. I was sluggish too, at least for like a quarter or two, and then it picked back up. But
you were probably buzzing during warm-ups.
Warm-ups, we were just laughing the entire time. Like it felt great, but you know that crash.
You're high energy. You're buzzing around the court. Like, man, it's gonna be a good game. You sit down, you're like, oh, it's over.
No. Oh, the stomach on that would be horrible.
I was not having a good time that day, man. Especially after the game. Yeah,
sounds miserable. Anyway, so
don't do that.
Yeah, don't. Hands off the Cheetos. Pass them around. So to the parents again, I feel like we're starting to lose our. I think we need a break. We're going to take 5, grab a water break. We'll come back and finish up this topic. Welcome back, everybody. We're going to keep on going with this topic. We love this. We were just talking about some studies that have been, position papers. There are multiple studies, but you get those buried. They're really hard to find. But we get into like supplements and things of that nature. We're going to first finish up. Dr. J had a great question, or a statement, I should say, before we got back online here. So go ahead.
Yeah. So,
sorry. We call this bro science.
Yes.
Untested, unproven, but it worked for me. So therefore, it is. Yes.
Yeah.
Technically, it's called anecdotal evidence.
Should I do the marathon or my college regimen?
Let's go college first.
The college one?
Let's tell you how this doesn't work for real people, and then real people and what they do and what happens.
Yeah. So when I had my my exit meeting from freshman year of college to sophomore year of college, my coach told me, we really like how you play. We need you to put on a little bit of weight so you can have a little more power to the gaps. Done.
By power to the gaps, he's referring to ball in the outfield.
Yeah, left center, right center. We want big boy noises to the alleys.
Ding.
Yeah. So I was like, done. So I was training 5 to 6 days a week, and on top of that, I was taking 3 classes. One of those was a swim class. I was on a summer ball schedule where I had 3 games per week, and I'm driving everywhere and anywhere to play these games, going out to Riverside anyways. What I did that summer was I did no protein shakes. It was chocolate milk and like 3 to 4 PB&Js per day.
Was there any protein at all?
Like, I mean, besides what I was eating.
Also, I'll pause on that statement real quick. The protein, I know everyone talks about peanut butter and protein. There is proteins in peanut butter, but it's a better source of fat. I'll put that out there.
Let's just put it this way. If I say you're going to have a piece of chicken or peanut butter, which one's protein, which one's fat?
Yeah.
Keep it simple, yeah.
And 1, I put on weight, and 2, I got absolutely jacked. I came back at like 9% body fat when we tested the skin fold, which it's not the most reliable, but it's
pretty
cheap.
Good.
It's cheap and pretty good. And I was jacked. 9% body fat. I gained 10 pounds. Like, it was insane.
Chocolate milk.
Oh yeah.
Chocolate milk's the key. That's actually, I didn't even think about that. I think raw milk is legal again, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
right?
So.
Yeah.
It sounds crazy, but they actually took raw milk and said you're illegal now because we can't process you. Makes no sense. That was something I forgot. Totally forgot. Thank you for bringing that up. It's been a while since I've posed that question. Chocolate milk, raw milk. You want to put on weight? Pound. Gallons. It's the healthiest, I think, way. Because if you do something like not a protein powder, but a weight gainer protein or power or whatever, it's usually chemicals, which is why it can go 50-50 working, but you're going to have horrible intestinal issues. So for those that are not lactose intolerant or lactose issues, those are good 2 ways to go. Also, what he just told you doesn't happen for the rest of the population.
For the majority.
So I've never heard anybody live on PB&J and get ripped. Ever.
Yeah.
So
no kidding.
I have words I would use to you, but I can't because we're in public.
There's also the fact that you're also taking a swim class as well. So there's different...
a lot of energy output. Yeah.
So there's things to consider. So don't take away that just take BB&Js.
We're saying don't try this at home. But this... Well, here's the funny part. How did you land on that's your game plan for the summer?
I think I just got lazy and didn't want to go to the grocery store and get whey protein.
That's very fair.
I think, to be totally fair,
The truth will set you free.
I think it was like, I didn't want to do a shake for some reason. I wanted to do chocolate milk and PB&J. Like that's what I was gonna do.
That's his bro science gets. That is the definition of bro science.
Sick.
So
maybe I should go back on it.
Maybe.
I can't drink milk anymore. That's another story.
Maybe that's why.
That's probably it. So one of our good doctor friends now, Sam.
Yeah.
Right, when we were having this discussion, because he's lost some weight and he's looking really good now. His morning shake, the one that he brings in, right, is actually Greek yogurt, a scoop of whey protein, and a variant of milk that is okay with his stomach.
Oh, wow.
So normally he'll get around 60 grams of protein in just that.
That's crazy.
And it's actually, I've had it, it's pretty good.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yogurt kind of makes everything taste
good.
Yes.
So just to get the numbers in, hey, it works.
So for parents, what that means for you, what it means is, because here's the thing too, like I have a very physical job. We have physical jobs, right?
We have to eat. Yeah.
So I have learned over the years, I have to make sure I'm getting food and whatever. And we're in between patients. So, I mean, I have Rise bars and I have RX bars and I have protein shakes. Excuse me. And so I've learned I have to take these in. Mm-hmm. Those are I need my calories. I have to eat something. I've got a patient in 30 seconds. Let me just eat this. Mm-hmm. PB&J sounds way better though. God, I miss PB&Js. Anyway, when it comes to kids, at school especially, there is a time you have to say, look, if I've got to give you a Bobo bar from Costco or something like that, please no Pirate's Booty. It's not what you think it is.
So good,
so that's the problem, right?
So
that's a donut, basically. Just try to be strategic in what you're giving them. Now, don't get me wrong. I still believe PB&Js to be, depending on the bread, of course, one of the best kind of just snacks for kids. I think it does cover some bases. That being said, it does combine fat and sugar into one. Mm-hmm. So how you did that, my brain science can't figure that out. It just doesn't.
I think I just burned so many calories and I worked out so hard that summer that it
just didn't matter.
It didn't matter.
Yeah.
I had enough energy to
it's
get
also
through
summer ball too. So you're just sitting outside and burning.
God. This is the worst summer of my life.
Sweating your butt off, yeah.
To be honest, worst summer of my life. Between everything.
It's because you were living on chocolate milk and PB&J.
It was great in the moment. But like summer ball sucks. Unless you're at in the Cape Cod League or the Northwoods League up in the Midwest.
I have no idea what he's talking about.
Yeah, whatever. Maybe someone knows what I'm talking about. Those environments are fun, where they actually have fans. You're playing in minor league ballparks.
For sure.
I'm playing at the worst college campuses you could find, or high school fields, and just to get at bats, and it's horrible and it's hot.
Yep.
And I'm driving everywhere, and you're playing one, maybe 2 games a day. Mm-hmm. It's horrible.
Yeah. So all this is,
and I'm paying for it. Yeah. By the way.
So back to the parents again.
There's just so many small little details that we didn't think about of just PB&Js and milk. So keep that in mind.
Yeah.
Keep that in mind.
I still can't get over that one.
That's still great.
I don't even really told that story. So sorry, parents. You're land your plane, guys. Talk to me over here. So those are the strategies. Really knock down breakfast. Mm-hmm. Really good at dinner. Good, especially post-practice, post-games. Lunch, snacks, midday stuff, you're going to have to wing it a little bit and just do your best. Mm-hmm. Obviously, the child's going to have some say.
Yeah.
I used to trade my wonderful sandwich my mom made me for peanut butter bars and chocolate milk when I was in high school. Yeah, I didn't want nothing to do with whatever she put in that mid. So that's those caveats you're going to have to figure out. Best thing you can do, strategy-wise, because I love talk strategy, put the onus back on the child. Make sure they understand if you eat this, you're going to perform this way. If you eat this, you're going to perform that way. Dr. J does not count. I'm going to emphasize that over and over again. PB and chocolate milk. Anyway, so that's kind of what you're after. Now, the other thing he brought up, which is fascinating. Go ahead.
Oh, yeah.
We get this a lot. Still in this day, 2025, this mindset still exists.
Yeah. So, yeah, especially because I feel like run clubs are huge. Right, they're booming.
Yeah, yeah.
You get into your late 20s, early 30s, and now all of a sudden you want to run. And with social media, now you get to see oh, I'm training for a marathon. I'm doing this. I'm doing that. And then it's that night before, camera eats first picture of just a fat bowl of pasta. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, I guarantee you haven't been cycling up to that point. And at that point, when you have that pasta, mm-hmm. it's doing next to nothing for you.
Oh, it's going to do something called sluggish.
Boom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So for the carbo loading concept, the funniest thing is I'll get athletes, youth athletics, the cross country stuff, because they're basically going out to run a 5K.
They have to eat.
A 5K is a sprint for these kids. They're running it at 15 minutes sub, so 14 minutes. There is nothing about that needs carb loading. Typically speaking, your carb sources, what's in your body, can sustain you for roughly about 90 minutes to an hour and 45 minutes without replenishing. Okay? So if you're going over that 2 hours plus, say in a marathon, then you're not carbo loading because you can only store so much. You have to begin eating at hour 1 to prepare yourself for hour 3. That's a different strategy. High schoolers or not marathon runners, but cross country, that 15-minute sprint requires not a lot. That's just a normal diet. Make sure the food is digested because you don't want it in their intestines, because then the blood goes there to digest instead of your body to run. So those are just strategies for that. And you have to test that out. So let's just talk sport by sport. This is great. This is actually perfect. Yeah. So cross country, you got a meet coming up. It's going to be a 5K, warm-ups and all that good stuff. Before you get to that meet, you will have had to have tested how long. So you wake up, go 90 minutes before your run, eat a balanced meal, pretty balanced. I mean, white rice, chicken, avocado, something like that is all fine. Give it 90 minutes, warm up, then go do your run. Clock yourself. How did you perform? How did you feel? How did you feel the rest of the day? Wait a week or two. Go 60 minutes. Same exact breakfast. Bacon and eggs and toast. I don't care. Same breakfast. Go do it again. Write down journal. How did you feel? How was the rest of the day? How'd you sleep? How'd you recover? Then do 30 minutes and then check the whole thing. Then go back and say, which one did I feel like I was maximally performing? Now, there are a ton of variables out there. Sleep, hydration, all the other good stuff. But let's just say all those other variables are normal. And we're just checking the food and digestion, that you felt like your stomach was clean and clear. Everything's in your body. Off you go. That's the best way to trial and error anything in nutrition as far as it comes to competition. But carbo loading is the biggest farce on the planet. And the reason is, and this has been disproven a billion times, but for a lot of people out there, you may not know this, so we're joking, but in all seriousness, your body can only store so much. And I want to say it's something like 270 something.
I don't remember the number.
Grams or blah, blah, blah. But in your liver and your muscles. But there is a max. And once you hit that max, the body no longer stores it in that fashion. It breaks it down. It hunts around. Do I need this anywhere else? Nope. How's my energy output right now? Sitting on the sofa because I just ate a big old fat bowl of pasta. Store that sucker as fat.
Yep.
And then boom, 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 boom. And then your digestion in your stomach, because it slows down, they have them before dinner, right? Before bed.
Right, yeah.
Your body naturally slows digestion before you go to sleep. So while you're sleeping, you're not digesting like quickly. It's a slow, even though it's a carb and a sugar, it has no place to go. No. Worst case then, you spike insulin. So now you're throwing a whole body hormonally out of whack. And then you wake up in the morning. Some people have breakfast. Some don't, but hopefully they have breakfast. But now you're just compounding the effect. There you go. So carbo loading, bad idea. This is something that, as a strategy goes, you have to have planned this out over time. So you said cycling, I think, or was the word you used?
No, it was the Huntington Beach Marathon.
No, I'm saying leading up to
cycling carbs. That's what
cycling carbs, like through.
Yeah.
So your body, you have to have it pretty well regulated to understand what your body burns, how it burns, and then what you need to store back again. Yeah. And that's usually not as much as you think, because typically, if you're going pre-race, you didn't race today or yesterday. You haven't run. You're getting ready for the run. So your requirements aren't that high. So you have to really take in your energy levels. But let's talk baseball. Baseball's interesting because you could play center field and do nothing.
Yep.
You can go 0 for 4 and do nothing.
Yeah,
Yeah, you exerted zero energy.
Yeah, you probably had like 15 seconds worth of activity.
Yeah.
And that's it.
But you look the coolest out there.
He was shredded.
Good, play good.
He was yoked. What do you say? But that's something where that's a consideration for you nutritionally, that I don't really have to eat a ton tonight. Now I'm a little tired because we warmed up, we practiced and did this and that, and you're still young, but that's the consideration. You can do a water polo match or a swim meet.
No.
Eat food.
You have to eat.
Eat. Chow. I mean, you got to be eating a bunch of food because you're burning so many calories, 1,000, 1,500 in that day. You got to eat the food and get it in there. So your post-race is just as important as your pre-race kind of thing. Any other sports you want to jump on?
Well, no, more
we talk about them all.
Yeah.
They're like, no.
More kids are getting into powerlifting than I see now, which pros and cons, so all that too. But anyways, with that, I know it's in the culture to really eat candy.
Oh, God.
Before you go lift. Yeah, I know we kind of already talked about it.
NFL, football too.
Yeah.
Football too.
I'm not going to lie, I've done it too. If I'm on a time crunch and it's just easy in my bag, we'll just eat a little bit and go. I don't fully recommend that for everyone, just because it's not the cleanest thing that you could also put in your body. But I also get it.
No, 100%.
You get a sugar rush, you feel really good, and then you're going to hit your top set, then all your back downs are going to feel like crap.
Or how about the orange slices at halftime?
Oh, I love orange slices at halftime.
Okay, so
is that bro science
part of me, well,
truth?
Depends on the age. If you're a 45-year-old soccer club and you're having orange slices at halftime, it's just because you're old. I don't know why. I'm kidding. I don't know why. It's
a
orange
mental
slices.
thing at that point.
Here's what they're for. Here's the goal.
To be
of
a
all.
boxer.
No, it's no scurvy. I don't want any scurvy in the soccer players. Yeah.
Oh my God.
The point of them is actually hydration. So it's a way to get the kids to take in liquid, because getting kids to stay hydrated is an act of God. I've had my kids come back with a water bottle like this, completely full of water, from when they left this morning. They didn't refill it. They just didn't touch it. So it's basically hydration. Let me get the fruit in. Let me get some sugars in. And then a little bit of like some form of liquid that their body can interpret as hydration.
Nice.
Yeah, that one's always interesting. Yeah. I always loved them. I just hated being one to bring them because
Yeah.
slicing those things sucked. I always cut myself too. But anyway. So as it comes to sports, back to the kids again, you have to, as a parent, take the time to understand. You want to make sure they're getting a good breakfast, get their good dinner, things you can control. And then sport-based. So you got a volleyball tournament and you're there for the entire weekend.
Have some food with you.
Man, you need to pack some food. Pack some snacks, yeah. If you're doing a track meet or a, what do you call it, cross-country, you don't have to do much. Yeah, you'll be all right. Just, normal food, maybe a little something extra after the meet itself. Because that is, you're sprinting. 5-minute miles is pretty impressive. That's just crazy. But outside of that, that's really what it comes down to. But as parents goes, the biggest struggle you'll have is getting the strategy from the time they go to school to the time they get back home.
Yeah.
And that window is where you have to get creative. And that could be protein powder, that could be bars, that could be nuts. Nuts are actually not bad for the kids. Just be careful because they're condensed.
They're high in calories.
Yeah. So nuts, fat, basically just digest much slower. So you want to make sure you're very conscious of that. Now, I'm going to tell you, you give a kid a bag of Mac nuts or cashews or something like that, they are not going to have the 7 or 8 they're supposed to have. They're going to eat the bag.
I still don't. Yeah.
No, the bag's gone. It's housed. So be conscientious of that too. Yeah. And honestly, all joking aside, you give the kid a protein shake and a PB&J, because they're PB&J fans, and who isn't? Yeah. They're going to be fine. They're going to be right as rain. Like those things, that'll work great, but those are just ideas. Yeah. Do not let them have a 500-gram carbohydrate mac and cheese at lunch.
Nope. Especially if they haven't done that before either.
Yeah, that's not a good thing. Don't think carbo loading, think nutritional macro loading. So get what they need. Good. And then sports-based. Power output sports, you're going to have to make sure you load up on some good fats. Like, to me, if you're a football player, Friday Night Lights, I'm housing a steak. Or a couple good grass-fed beef burgers. Like
before or after?
Before.
Nice.
Few hours before. Let that stuff sink into your muscles and your body. You're going to feel like a stud out there. And then post, carb that sucker up with some lean meats if you want to steak again, whatever. But your body's going to burn enough that you'll be all right.
And just to reiterate something that we kind of passed over, we got to test that before too, because I know, at least for me, if I eat too close to me lifting, I feel like crap the entire time.
Oh, God,
you're
still digesting.
So for me, the window is about before, if it's under 2 hours, it's but if it's after 2 hours, like 2.5 hours, I'm usually okay.
Yep, that's nutrient timing. Yep.
Different for everyone. Some people
literally.
Some people can do the 4. Some people can't. Some people can do 3. You just have to figure that out.
Yep.
So write that one down.
And I'll share a personal story. Sorry, kids. My older son houses a sausage sandwich from Starbucks on the way to a swim meet 30 minutes before he does.
That's a little
swims great.
Oh.
My daughter does the same exact thing. Not so good. Yeah. Her body does not digest quickly. So there is, even my children who come from the same DNA still are different. So you really got to make sure, you may have 3 or 4 kids, 2 kids, 1 kid, whatever, but just understand that timing.
Yeah.
And that's practice. You try. They got football practice all week long, or weightlifting practice all day, or baseball practice every day. Time it out. See what they digest well. See how they perform, because really, ultimately, if they perform well, they're going to be good, right?
Do that
and focus on recovery. So that's the evening stuff. Yeah, evening stuff's important.
You were also pointing to some of our supplements here. Creatine's a big one that we talk about. Who wants to
unravel myself some creatine? Okay, the myths of creatine. No, creatine's actually
100% a steroid.
It is.
No, it's not a steroid,
but you can't test for it, so works great. That's a joke. We'll cut that out.
No, we're not.
So, I hope we bring levity, parents out there. just because this is a very complex pain in the butt. It is actually more simple than you think. The problem is the bro science over the last years, our nutrition system in America hasn't been the greatest. So a lot of the stuff that you look up, like I have to dig through piles and pages of data to find these answers, if you will, to figure things out. A lot of the people that I resource come from other countries, New Zealand, Australia, things like that, where nutrition is valued a little differently, and you can get the information you need. Where in America, like there's a guy I follow, his website is closed down in America now. It's a European site, so you can only get it outside the U.S. Why? And he talks about magnesium and things like that. There's so many things with nutrients that we don't get, right? Yeah. So when it comes to creatine, men, women, doesn't matter. Like I do a creatine shot and magnesium for bed, sleep like a baby, feel great. It's actually good for you. Now there are anecdotal studies that have come out, meaning position paper stuff. There are some hardcore studies, mostly in adults and mostly in high-end athletes, just to see how they recover and perform and so forth. Understand it's something in the body that's natural in our body, and it's something that actually works really well. You want to have that in your system. And supplementing with it, yes, it's legal.
100% legal.
Not illegal at all. And the side effects, there aren't really side effects unless you overdo it. It can be hard in certain parts of the body, but that's still rare and really hard to do. The only caveat is you do have to keep your hydration up.
I was going to bring that one up.
Yeah, the hydration point, and that's just something where I can get into science, but if we didn't already lose you, we'll definitely lose you. But basically, whenever you pop creatine in your system, it's going to attach itself to water molecules, basically, and it's going to cause a dehydration in your body. So you have to pound the water.
Yeah, that's not a bad thing.
No, not at all.
What it's doing is it's drawing that water into the muscle, so allowing the muscle to stay hydrated. But because of that, we need more water in the system.
You want it to be available and need it. Now, I don't want to need it, not have it. I want to have it, not need it.
Yeah.
That kind of thing.
So there's more pros than there are cons with that.
Way more. Yeah. Now, as it comes to performance, I don't know. Does NCAA have a creatine?
I don't think there's any.
I don't think they do.
Don't quote us on that.
High school athletes.
I'm not sure about that. I know the NCAA was really trying to crack down on like caffeine and pre-workouts. But now I see college athletes, they have like
that's dangerous.
They have NIL deals with
what
like
a great
Celsius
segue. Great segue. Yeah. Okay. Pre-workouts, caffeine, Starbucks, coffees. If your kids are under 14, they do not need it at all.
I got a story.
The detriment, you're too young to have that story. The detriment far outweighs any of the benefits. There are a few sports, I would quote maybe like swimming, track athletes, something where they're about to perform for a matter of minutes that I can see, yes, you have some benefit. Not healthy for the kid.
Nope.
Not healthy. Now, mind you, I would never let my kids do it. Like I've seen 10-year-olds at the swim meets with Celsius in hand.
No.
And I'm like, you don't need this. Their body, they can't process it to get the benefit out of it. They're going to feel wired. It doesn't mean they are wired. Like they're going to perform better, right? But kids, because we've had a few, are we talking about the one swimmer or you have a different story from the swimmer?
I have a different story.
Okay. We have a swimmer. He's I don't know where he's at now, but he's before a swim meet, big one. He's a fast kid, 200 frees, fast. He came in, he was telling us a story on how they were popping C4.
Oh boy.
Double scooping C4 before. Now C4 is a pre-workout that my heart palpates. I've tried it before and it's
That's a powerful one.
That did not, I thought it was going to explode.
It's a powerful one, but it's also on one of the cheaper ones for kind of that reason.
Yeah.
And I will simply say as your doctor, if you're balling on a budget, stop balling. When it comes to stuff like that, just stop. It's not good for you. But that was interesting. And he's like, oh yeah, everybody on the whole, he's like the entire top 8 swimmers are popping this stuff back before they swim. And I was like, you're 16.
Yep.
I'm like,
for what reason? So I have a question. So what about like a stim-free pre-workout?
At that point, you're doing a 5-hour energy drink.
Okay.
High B vitamin. Oh God, I think I've talked myself out of talking. B vitamins. There's going to be other stuff in there. I can't think off the top of my head. Electrolytes. Carnitine. Yeah, it's going to have some good healthy things. I think those are fine. The ones that get you are ones that are chemical. We call them chemicals or coffee. So at mornings you still feel coffee. We're going chemicals, and we make light of it, but that's just the way it is. Being honest, and it's sitting on our desk, and we're not going to try to hide that. But the chemicals, everybody responds to them differently. Yeah. So that's one of the things to just be wary of. Yeah. But let's hear the story.
So I think this is more on like the coaching aspect of it. As I've mentioned it before, I was coaching JV basketball. We were playing in an away game. I happen to have a Celsius in my hand because when these games happen, it's after a shift here, and I'm going out to go help with them. So I'm tired, right? So I need a little kick in the pants is basically what I call it. I'm drinking one. I grab one for the coach. one of the kids comes up to me and says, "Hey, can I have one?" I'm like, "No, you don't need one." He's like, "But you have pre-workout in your bag." I'm like, "Okay, that's different, right?
Way different.
That's different. This is not for you." He's like, "Why can you have it and I can't have it?" It's like, "Well, son, I work and then I do this." He's like, "But yeah, you seem pretty buff, so can I ask them?" Like, first of all, we're about to plan. Second of all, you're like, what, 14? Third of all, everyone in the bus has to exist with you when they get home. That's gonna be a no, dog.
Yeah, no.
Nope.
And the thing is, I'm 51 years old. So when I was 14, there was no pre-workout.
Yeah.
There was no Red Bull. There was no caffeine. There was coffee.
Mm-hmm.
That was about it. And I guess we survived, ? Somehow magically. It's because you just don't need it.
Mm-hmm.
And I realize, say, the performance and things like that, the benefit doesn't outweigh the detriment. You know what I mean? And we are grown men. This is a conscious choice for us. Mm-hmm. We like the caffeine, wakes up mentally, we kind of do this. Plus we're doing, talking for an hour. Mm-hmm. That's our logic and what we're going to do. Mm-hmm. If you're a 14-year-old child, your energy level is through the roof. Mm-hmm. There should be no need for any of that. Yep. So that's more the doctor talking to you as opposed to myself as an athlete, because I do pre-workout before I hit the gym, but I'm in the gym for 90 minutes. That's different. Lifting weights, you're running up and down a court. You should be conditioned enough. Like your conditioning far outweighs the energy.
Yeah. The game itself is not your training. You've already trained for the game, so you're going to be ready for that. You don't need any more.
Yes. Like that's a good question. It's a good thing. If I was going to do Olympic lifting competition, I am not taking pre-workout.
During that, I wouldn't.
Hell no.
No.
Sorry, edit that one out. I'm not taking that stuff. I want to be of sound mind, control, ready to go. If I'm playing a baseball game 3 hours, I am not taking pre-workout. No. Football game 3 hours, I'm not taking pre-workout. Nope. The reason is what Dave just said. 90 minutes of training, hard, intense training, is so I'm ready for the event. Yep. Not just an event every day. Not something I want to overcaffeinate because I'm addicted to caffeine. That's the problem. Mm-hmm. And kids under the age of at least 18, you see them walking down the street with a rock star or Monster. That's a scary proposition because they don't know what that's going to do to their bodies. At
that point, they're growing. They're going to have a level of energy that we already don't have.
Natural, yeah.
So if you're tired, there's something else going on.
Yeah. And when he says we don't have, it's not because we're old. It's because our days start at 5:30 in the morning. We finish 10 o'clock at night, and we're doing all kinds of stuff throughout the day. And a parent out there who works a long day and then has shuttle service at the end, has practice and food, you're exhausted. Mm-hmm. It's a different thing. These kids, we're looking at them going, we're trying to make sure you stay as healthy as possible. Within reason. Mm-hmm. And remember, at 13, 14, you're not going to the Olympics. You're not playing pros next week. So take the time, get your food right. And everything you learn when you're 13 and 14, like if you can educate yourself on how your body responds to food, how it responds to protein, how it responds to creatine, how it responds to energy, then you have a much better understanding as you get older when it really does count. Mm-hmm. You get junior, senior year in high school, we're getting ready to do something, right? There's moves to be made here. If you understand your body really well, just like we talk about injury and recovery and training and taking time off, that's the most powerful thing. No. So that's where we say trial and error. I know we beat a dead horse here, but you've got to try it, see if it works. If it doesn't, pivot. Mm-hmm. Try it again. Doesn't work, pivot. You keep pivoting until you find that sweet spot. Once you find the sweet spot, you're golden. Mm-hmm. And that's lifelong. All right. We good?
I think we're good, yeah.
Yeah.
I think Dave's saying we're done.
Yeah.
We're at like the hour 15 mark.
Give him another Celsius.
Crack it open, son.
That was round 1. I got more in me. Let's go.
Yeah, part 3B.
Part 3B. I like that. B period dash A dash I.
But, well, you could always ask us in the office on the specific details. I keep looking at the screen too.
Can't help but try something new today. We like the background, but we'd have something new. So let's land the plane.
Yeah.
Parents, your protein intake for the kids is number 1. Make sure they're getting enough because their muscles are growing. If they're athletes, their muscles are growing. At least you want them to be. Mm-hmm. Now, we won't touch on vegan or vegetarian type things, but just basically get the protein in. 100 to 150, roughly, give or take, is where you kind of start with. Men, women, doesn't matter. Carbs are only based on their output. So you kind of monitor that point. You be conscientious to what they're eating. Clean is good. Carbs, just get carbs too, like toast and breads and things of that nature. It's fine. But just limit it if you can. Control it where you can. And then your fats, that's really going to come from just avocados, nuts, whatever else you eat. They're going to burn it, but you want to try to just keep it clean. Mm-hmm. That's the ideal world. There's a window with which you just want to calories in their bodies. Do the best you can with that. Control the morning and the evening that you can. And that's really it.
Yeah, that's a good Spark.
Not to oversimplify it, but that's basically what you're looking at.
It's a really good Spark Notes version of it. That's what I take away from it.
Spark Notes?
Yeah.
It's Cliff Notes.
There's both of them. There's Spark Notes.
Spark Notes for us too.
Dude, Cliff Notes is better.
It's Spark Notes.
I'm Cliff Notes. Spark Notes.
All
right, guys. We'll see you guys next time. Hope you enjoyed. You got any questions, again, just comment, shoot us a text, shoot us an email. Mm-hmm. Happy to answer questions. It's not complicated. It just sounds like it, but I promise you it really isn't. Keep it simple. Remember, you're the parent, so you can kind of dictate some of that. Use your imagination, PB&J. I'm going to call him PB&J now. That's a new nickname.
Maybe I should get back on it. No, I don't think I burned it. I don't burn enough calories.
That was like curious to see if that was like
10 years ago, right?
I would love to see how that worked out.
10 years ago and overly active.
Oh, yeah.
I'm curious. All right. We're checking out. We'll catch you guys next time. I think we kind of covered it. We want to do some recovery stuff, but we're going to mesh in youth athletics with basic recovery on talk, I think.
Yeah.
Because they basically are the same thing.
Yeah.
It's sleep, rest, hydration, food, just simple stuff. But take from this what you can. Have questions, reach out. We'd love to hear it. We really don't mind at all. If you have another topic you'd like to talk about or dive deeper into another one, let us know. This is Doc T.
Dr. David.
Dr. J.
PB&J. See you guys next time. Go ahead, buddy.